election. So there is a sitting president awaiting the election of another president, then the swearing in, and that is when we will know, and we as Jubilee are confident the next president who will continue with his term.
Before I give Honorable Manzo a chance to respond to that, I think we also have a snippet of President Uhuru Kenyatta's speech yesterday where he spoke about the independence of institutions. I don't know if now is a good time to take that as well. I can also see on the other side of the screen we continue to monitor Parliament, and we will be telling you what is happening there, even as lawmakers sit to discuss the President's speech. But for now, let's listen to a little bit of what President Uhuru Kenyatta had to say yesterday about the independence of institutions.
I want to assure every single Kenyan and the world that every arm of government is in place and operational. Let no one, for a single moment, envision that there is a void. There is no lacuna. Kenya is progressing along the path drawn for it by our Constitution. But given the complexity of the public issues that the three arms of government as well as constitutional commissions have to handle, they must work together willingly, even as they respect each other's functional independence. Equally important,
Honorable Manzo, several issues coming up in that snippet that we've picked up. Let me start with, why do you feel the President was so emphatic in talking about there is no vacuum? Why did he have to, highlight it in that particular manner?
Yes, and I've just said I'm going to Parliament to oppose his speech. First of all, he says all the institutions of the government are intact. Just a few days ago, he abused the judiciary, and up to now, he has not apologized to Kenyans and to the judiciary. So in one word, he says, look, we are okay, judiciary is okay, and he just said that in Swahili, ni wakora. Meaning from the Chief Justice to all the judges, to the to the youngest magistrate or the smallest rank of a magistrate. And that's the judiciary, which is one of the branches of government. On independent commissions, and any other commission, just like IBC, independence does not mean impunity. You have to be independent and you have to follow the law. So the President has to be consistent. If he insisted, and he has insisted on a daily basis, including yesterday, that the judiciary he doesn't agree with it and he doesn't respect it by his conduct, then he has no business to say one of the branches of all branches of government are intact, because it is clear from his own speech that one of the branches is not intact and he doesn't believe it, contrary to what many Kenyans believe. It is important, to be consistent and to give the due respect to where it deserves. The judges could have been writing the long judgment you are expecting within 21 days, and that could explain their absence in the House yesterday, or the dismay. They could be dismayed by his comments, and probably it was not the right time to meet him again when he has just described them in a manner which is degrading to them. And I believe you should respect.
But for now, we can only speculate.
Lead Kenyans in respect. There's no speculation.
on why they were not there.
His pocket, and he did not apologize.
So you think they reacted?
If
that
I
was
were
their
him,
reaction.
And what he should do is to first and foremost apologize to the judiciary and to Kenyans.
Honorable Kega, do you agree with Honorable Manzo? And of course, your take on why the judiciary was not represented there, and yet everything had been set up for them.
We have heard Honorable Wadai saying that they know why the judiciary did not come.
They as NASA?
Yeah, as NASA.
Okay.
So they are reading from the same script, and I think they also need to tell us. Because if you look at even the way they are progressing and prosecuting their case, they seem to have more information about the Supreme Court judgment. And even saying specifically that so-and-so has to be removed, so-and-so is guilty, And for us, we have said very, very
also
clear.
IBC.
Yeah, the IBC.
Okay.
So that one tells you that there is something that they know that we don't know. And the president is very, very clear, and he has also been very, very categorical. He said that he does not agree with the ruling of the Supreme Court. Yet he said very, very clearly that he respects. And that is the reason he said, we let IBC conduct the flash election. He said that he will avail himself, and he has actually followed it to the letter. We are yet to see from them who said that very, very clearly that they support the institutions, yet they are telling IBC that without this bare minimum, you know, they are not going for the election. The other day, the former Prime Minister, who is the party leader, said that 17th, they are not going for the elections on the 17th. So I know very, very clearly that they are not ready for this election. And it is very, very clear. Why? Because they know they don't have the numbers. And I want to give you an example of my case in my constituency. Before IEBC gave my final result, I knew how many votes I had.
How did you?
I mean, I had
you had your own agents.
I had my own agents in each and every polling station. The same case with them. They had agents in each and every polling station. So they have their own tallying, they have their own figures. And that is the reason they did not even ask for a retallying, because they knew for sure that we had beaten them. Let me tell you, for the record, they are not ready for this election. And what they want to create, they want to create crisis in this country. They started it by trying to deny us the numbers to elect the speaker so that one arm of government is not operational. We were able to defeat them on that. Now Wadai is saying that we have a temporary president. He is not a temporary president. He has the full powers of a president because the Supreme Court annulled. And in the eyes of the law, there was no presidential election on the 8th. And you have accepted that. So if we have accepted, they should also accept that the consequences of that ruling, the consequences are that there was no presidential election on the 8th in the eyes of the law. So if they are accepting one part of the ruling, they should actually accept all, you know, in its entirety. Because when the Supreme Court said that IBC
should be the one to conduct
I mean, why should there be certain conditions on IBC, yet they are saying that IBC is an independent institution?
You've asked Honorable Wandai several questions. Let me now give him a chance to respond to them.
You know, Oiga, I was basically listening to Mr. Uhuru speak a while ago on television. Well, it's a man. That's why it's a Mr. So, because I didn't have the benefit of watching him yesterday, listening to him.
So you haven't watched his
I've just watched him now. And you see a man who is living in denial.
In what ways?
And a man full of contradictions. Because what he was saying there, if it's true, he was saying that.
Well, played you exactly what he said.
Well, if it's in his right senses. If it's in his right senses. He does not believe in them. Why do I say so? You've seen the tantrums. President Uhuru, if I may call him so now, for the benefit, comfort of my colleague here, he has been throwing ever since the Supreme Court made the pronouncement. Those are tantrums that are not
what are they indicative of?
Thrown by a person occupying office or a president. They are indicative of a person who is insecure. A person who feels that his world has calmed down. And why do I say so? You know, you cannot on one hand say that you respect the institutions, you respect the judiciary, and yet on the other hand, you are engaging in actions which confirm the contrary. You cannot have your cake and eat it. That is one. Secondly, this matter of the Supreme Court judges boycotting the function of the joint sitting of Parliament yesterday. We have called it a Jubilee Parliamentary Group meeting, and for good reasons. But that is aside.
The fact that
clear. You don't have to be given information from the judiciary to know the reasons. You are intelligent people. You can decipher. You can add one and one, and you know the answer. You see, there is no single day ever since this country attained independence, and you can fault me on this, that the members of the judiciary have ever failed to attend official opening of Parliament, being officiated by a president. This was the first one. So to explain it away that you see that they did not get the invitation, that is neither here nor there.
Honorable Manzo, maybe they were busy trying to wrap up the Supreme Court detailed judgment.
That can't explain it, I can tell you. That a state opening of Parliament, a very solemn occasion, a very serious occasion. Yeah, that judges can afford to spare even 2 or 3 hours away from their very busy engagements, including writing judgments.
Yes.
Okay. Thirdly, my colleague has talked about and finally, of course, about the IEBC and our conditions that we have put forth. These conditions we have put forth are not out of the blue. They have conditions that are put forth arising from the ruling or the judgment of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court pronounced very clearly and in broad daylight that the officers within the IEBC did carry out that election in a manner full of irregularities and illegalities. Those are words of the Supreme Court. Now, what do we make of it? And we have said for these illegalities and irregularities to be cured, we need to carry out certain reforms before these elections can happen again. Chief of which is the rearrangement of the personnel, chief of which is the management of the infrastructure of IT. Now we have said those are the reducible minimum. And I want to repeat here, for avoidance of doubt.
About 9 points, I believe.
For avoidance of doubt,
yes.
That if those conditions are not met, we cannot possibly be involved in an election.
At what point, and maybe just to clarify before I allow Honorable Kostani to come in, with the polls coming up on the 17th of October, at what point has NASA set as a deadline where they would say, if by this day we have not seen this and this happening, then we'll officially announce it? And maybe Honorable Manzo, you can also come in on this. I don't know, one of you, has a deadline been set where you say, IBC, if we don't see this number of points being worked on by this day, we're not going to...
Yeah, we have enough days. There's enough time to be able to...
33 days? Is it?
Wait, there's enough time to be able to set up such deadlines if need be.
Yeah.
But first and foremost, Honorable Kanini Kega talked about the tally centers. According to our own tally centers, we had won the election by 1.5 million votes.
Yes.
And that is the truth. Yes. And it goes back in 2013.
Yes.
It is clear that 2013 we won the election.
Yes.
The ruling and the current government is constituted by active President Uhuru Kenyatta has been fraudulent at all material times. And therefore, we cannot continue with this fraud as a country. And this fraud is being committed by officers at the IBC. You know, 2 of them were appointed out at the Supreme Court. And by now, the DPP should have prosecuted those persons. And a person who is under prosecution will have to leave his office temporarily. So this insistence of no single officer can be prosecuted or taken to court or investigated from IBC amounts to impunity, and it is being assisted by the state. We are aware, though, this should be used sparingly because it is from social media, that the Jubilee hackers are here to hack the system once more. So
you'll allow me to interrupt you because I had skipped Honorable Kusitani and allow him to now respond. You brought in new angles that he will now need to... Honorable Kusitani, go ahead.
Wahiga, our friends in NASA are just actually chasing the wind with a basket. They're trying to catch the wind with a basket which has many holes and very big holes at that point. This issue about hacking is a story that they have been running around with, and I think when my colleague Kanini Kega in his opening remarks, he said that the biggest tragedy is when you tell a lie and then you believe it. That is the biggest tragedy. They believe the system was hacked. We have heard from the IEBC, we've had evidence that the system was not hacked, but they still want to stay on that line, which is, to them, is their comfort zone. We will allow them. On the issue of the IEBC officials, they have confidence in Chebukati. They have confidence in Chebukati, who is the returning officer and who oversaw all the events of IEBC. But they have a problem with Chiloba, who is just an officer. And they have confidence in Chebukati. I don't know where they disengage the two, because at the end of the day, the IBC is led by Chebukati. He is the chairman, he is the returning officer, he is the one, the backstops with him.
And that is why we have Jubilee in the full IBC team as we speak.
We have no problem. The deputy president yesterday went to the office and had a discussion with them, and we are telling them run the election because we believe they have taken an oath to run the election in a free and fair manner. Despite the fact that he was worried about Chebukati's alleged night meetings, you still have confidence in the IBC? Let me tell you, there are some situations you cannot change, and you have to realize that. We cannot, for instance, now have a new chairman of IBC. We have to live with Chebukati. But what we have to do is keep pumping into him and telling him you have to be free and fair and impartial. That is what we have to keep emphasizing on. And we as Jubilee, we are ready for the election. We are ready for October 17th. Our colleagues here are definitely not ready, and they don't even want an election. If you look at their body language, ever since they are not ready for an election. What we would like as Jubilee, and what should have been in their prayers, was a recount of the votes. Say the ballot boxes are still.
But why did you not raise it up at the time?
No, we were not petitioning. Because we know we won fairly. We were not petitioning. But in their petition, there is nowhere in the entire petition that the issue of the votes was discussed. Never. Nowhere.
You know.
From page 1 to the 29,000 pages they brought, they never raised anything about the votes. And let's be clear to ourselves, Wahiga and my colleagues here. Election is about how many votes you get. How many votes did you win by? I got 34,000 votes. 141.
Regardless of the process,
regardless of the process, at the end of the day, how many did you get? And in the event of the process, if there was a mistake in the process, did it affect the final tally of the votes?
The Supreme Court judges feel it did.
No. They didn't say that. The Supreme Court judges never said that. They never said that whatever mistakes were there affected the final tally of the votes. They never said that. They never mentioned that. If they're going to mention it in their ruling, yes. What they said is the process, the election was not run as per the Constitution, blah, blah, blah. I mean, really.
I need to take a short break. So I don't know what we are going to do. Honorable Wandai, I can give you literally 10 seconds.
Well,
I know you want to respond.
I'm just amazed that the more I listen to my colleagues, the more I...
But briefly.
Because even the issue of confidence is now having a new meaning. You know, elections the world over cannot be about numbers, just numbers. Elections must be a process, must involve a process that end up arriving at those numbers. And that was very, very clearly determined by the Supreme Court. So that is a position that this country must take if we are to move forward progressively. Yeah.
Okay. I know, Honorable Kega, you want to respond. I'll give you a chance to respond, but you will respond on the other side of this break with Ann Kiguta, who will be coming up immediately after this. We want to take a short break now. But before we do, let's go over to Parliament, where the first sitting is supposed to take place. They're supposed to have 4 sessions to discuss the President's speech. It's actually ongoing. Let's listen in just a bit.
With the remarks from the Leader of Majority. Mr. Speaker, I want to, before I go to that, just to let the House know, and the Chair, to know that the NASA coalition is having a PG at 10:30 today, and some of the issues that we will be discussing is regarding the House leadership, the House committees, and certainly House Business Committee will be part of the agenda. But having said that, I wanted to raise a point of order regarding what the Leader of Majority said, that the House Business Committee can transact business before the minority side brings their members. And Mr. Speaker, I'm even wondering why the majority side have decided to bring half or part of the House Business Committee membership before the minority engages, and also to bring their side. Because this is going to be the first time, Mr. Speaker, that really the House Business Committee of this House will be voted for twice. I thought always tradition has it that we have always had a full House Business Committee approved by this House. And Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, if my reading and understanding of Article 171, Standing Order 171 is correct, it says that there shall be a select committee to be designated the House Business Committee, consisting of the names or the positions that is the Leader of Majority read, and I don't want to repeat, and 7 other members. Now, the operating word here is shall be a select committee to be designated the House Business Committee, consisting of. Therefore, if you have part of this membership at the point you are constituting the House Business Committee. Have you constituted the House Business Committee? It is not the question of quorum. It is a question of constituting the committee. The committee we cannot purport to have constituted a committee when you have not followed to the letter the provisions of this standing order. And it says it shall have the Speaker, who is the chairman, the leader of majority party, the leader of minority party, the majority whip, the minority whip, and 7 other members. So you cannot bring 4 members and constitute a committee. The committee can only be constituted by 7 other members, the leader of minority, the whip of the minority, and that must be voted for by this House. So the committee cannot start transacting any business until it is properly constituted. So, Mr. Speaker, that is my point of order. And my point of order is that we cannot have a House Business Committee until the minority coalition, which is NASA coalition, brings our members, the minority leader, the whip of the minority, and 3 other members from the minority side. I rest my case, Mr. Speaker. I would urge the House to hold, and the leader of majority to hold his horse. We will approve the names. We have no problem. But let us do it procedurally when the minority shall have agreed on the names to be in the House Business Committee. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.